That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out. Because it matters.
Attitude. Saw it on full display yesterday. Really on both sides of the floor in East Lansing, and I loved both of them, quite honestly. I think this is what rivalries are about. We'll get to that coming up here on X's and Bros. Hope you had a good weekend. Welcome on this Monday morning throughout the great state of Michigan. The Meyer Hotline is always open for you to express your feelings. 866-838-4843. You can text our show, Sports Radio, to 21,000. Michigan State steamrolls Michigan from start to finish, closing out senior day 79-62 in the blowout win. Spartans scored 50 first-half points. They got a career-high 20 from Trey Holloman, another 18 from Jace Richardson. They have now beaten Michigan in 4 straight and all by double digits. They held Michigan to 36.5% shooting and hit the Big Ten tournament on a 7-game roll, closing the regular season at 26 up and 4 down, 17-3 in conference play, 3 full games clear of anybody else. Begs my question to many. If you don't think they're good enough, why? I don't get it. Many people, I think we can concur that the Big Ten is one of the better conferences in the country. I'm not saying it's the best, because it's not. The SEC is, but I mean, is it fair to say it's one of the best? Okay. Then the best team that has shown that they are the best all season long has passed every single test. No one's going undefeated. Auburn's not undefeated. Alabama's not undefeated. Duke is not undefeated. You're going to lose games, all right? And Michigan State has lost only 4 of them. If you want to turn the clock back 3 months and grade this team on that, I suppose that's your prerogative. I don't know if you'll do that with any other team. You sure didn't do it with the Tigers last year. You didn't do it with the Lions. I'd love to know why you think this is not good enough. 4 losses. That's it. And 3 of those, by the way, in conference to teams that know you better than just about anybody else. MSU has already earned a double bye. Michigan, which by the way has dropped 3 in a row, also earns a double bye. They're the number 3 seed. And they're going to play Friday night. Both teams will play Friday. Michigan got 29 from Vlad Golden. They fall to 22-9, 14-6 in conference play. What took place at the end of the game is something we will get to. And I'm looking forward to the discussion. I really am. Because I think in today's sports, we don't see enough people willing to put themselves out there. And in this case, I think both teams did just that. Pistons did it again. They beat the Blazers 119-112. The Pistons shoot 49.5%. They get 28 from Cade Cunningham, who was a +9. Asar Thompson, by the way, was a +14. They got 20 from Tobias Harris on 9 of 13 shooting. And the Pistons are now 36 up, 29 down. Impressive stretch for Detroit. Impressive overall season for the Pistons. Jalen Duren had a double-double, 18 points, 12 rebounds. And now the Pistons will feel like they are a legitimate 40-win team if they didn't feel like that already. Just out of curiosity, the other night they lose to Golden State, which is, to a certain extent, understandable. There were 51 total fouls called last night. 64 free throws, 32 aside. All right? And the Pistons will come home. They get Washington for the first of 2 and 3 day span. They're going to play Washington on Tuesday, which is an automatic W, basically. But Isaiah Stewart the other day against Golden State Steph Curry hits a big shot, or he was fouled on the shot. Isaiah Stewart ends up pushing him aside. At some point, I love attitude, don't get me wrong. But at some point, it's like, okay, can we stop being, Mr. Tough Guy? You want to be Mr. Tough Guy in certain moments. And maybe he felt like his team needed to do something. Maybe he felt like his team needed something. So he was willing to do it against Steph Curry. Sometimes he just plays like he has no control whatsoever. And I oftentimes think of Pistons fans, and if they truly embrace that, or if it's something that they kind of roll their eyes at, since we've seen that in the past. We can get to that a little bit later on if you wish. Red Wings are going to visit Ottawa tonight, hoping to snap a 5-game slide. Two teams have split the first 2 games against one another this season. Both were 1-goal games. Lions are expected to release Zadarius Smith after half a season. In 8 games, he had 4 sacks and 3 tackles for loss. Cutting him loose means they save close to $6 million, $5.7 million. They gave up a 5th and a 6th for him. That's okay. It was worth it. And I think it's the right move not to bring him back if you feel like you can up the overall. Capitals beat Seattle last night 4-2. And I know you're like, oh, who cares about Washington? Alexander Ovechkin had an empty net goal. By doing that, he is now within 9 of Wayne Gretzky's all-time NHL record. There's some interesting NFL news. There's a ton of it out there. I'll get to some of it just before we hit the break. Give you the poll question as well, if we can get there in time. And then I want to talk about Michigan State for sure. Myles Garrett is not going to get traded. He signed a record deal, 4-year extension. It's going to pay him $40 million a year, including $123 million guaranteed in Cleveland. He is now the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. It was Max Crosby just last week on Thursday, and now that lasted, a matter of just 4 days, 3 days. Now Myles Garrett, no trade clause in the contract as well. All right. Harold Landry has reportedly signed a 3-year, $43.5 million deal in New England, reuniting him with Mike Vrabel, who coached him in Tennessee for 6 years. His get-homes are not always great. Now, we'll explain what we mean by that a little bit later on. Josh Allen and the Bills agreed to a 6-year, $330 million contract that includes $250 million guaranteed. That is the largest guaranteed money to a player ever. $250 million guaranteed. League MVP was the first ever to throw for 25 touchdowns at least. Rush for 10 touchdowns at least, and not throw more than 10 interceptions. I think he threw 6. Meanwhile, Rams have signed Devontae Adams to a 2-year deal. 31-year-old is a 3-time All-Pro. He's coming off a 5th straight year of 1,000 yards receiving. Steelers acquired DK Metcalf from Seattle for a 2nd-round pick. Then he signs a franchise record 5 years, $150 million to join George Pickens, Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin, pretty damn good wide receiver room. It's interesting with those three of those names, what the stance was prior to the weekend. I'll tell you what I mean by that in a moment. Has MSU changed your mind enough to think that they can make a Final Four push? Yes or no? That's the poll question. You can vote as often as you like. At XP Morning, follow us there on X, and we will get you the results tomorrow in the 8 o'clock hour. The Michigan State matchup, plus some of those NFL signings when we come back on X's and Bros on a Monday morning.
At Meijer, we work hard to bring more of the good life to your life, so you can bring home more perfectly plump and flavorful produce picked for precise freshness, beautifully marbled beyond brag-worthy certified Angus beef, and more must-have money-saving M-Perks rewards. Because saving more on local favorites is good, but bringing home more of what you love in every trip, that's the good life. We do more to make life a good deal better at Meijer.
Huge here for my good friend Josh Garvey. Now, he runs Doran Mayhew's GR office, and him and his team are putting up $1,000 in the Doran Mayhew Bracket Buster Challenge. When the brackets are out, you'll be able to get in for a shot at $1,000 at thehugeshow.net. That's thehugeshow.net. And the contest is presented by Josh Garvey and his team at Dorn Mayhew's GR office. Remember to enter when the brackets are up at thehugeshow.net.
Coming right at you, the excitement you've been waiting for. Eagle Casino and Sports, the mobile casino made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Play slots and table games with live dealers at one exciting site, playeagle.com. Sign up today and get a match deposit up to $1,500. That's right, up to $1,500 plus 100 free spins. Eagle Casino and Sports. Go to playeagle.com and start winning today. Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
I don't know what that is.
It was unfortunate that it ended in a little bit of a negative, a stained way. But, we all know that rivalries are rivalries. And, all the way back to the things that happened on our court. And things happen both ways, and both are guilty. But there's a tradition here that is so very important.
That's Tom Izzo following his team's knockout win over Michigan yesterday at Breslin Center. You saw it. You know what's going on. You're well aware of what's happening or what has happened, and it's good. They've had a special tradition in East Lansing for a long time. And it's Sean Respert really started it. I did the watch party at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resorts Ascend Sportsbook yesterday. Had a blast. And did it with national champion team Waves. Really had a great weekend. I mean, Terry Mills joined us, the national champ from Michigan, on Friday night. Had a great dinner with some folks who were fortunate enough to win 2 tickets that we sent them to. They stayed a couple of nights at Soaring Eagle and went to the game, had an absolute blast. And then Sunday had the watch party with the team. And he talked about how Sean Respert started this great tradition. Really is cool where they go, and I don't think there's anybody else who does it. I've seen a player or two do it at other schools, but nobody where seniors roll into that formation and kiss the Spartan in the middle of the floor. It's a great tradition, it really is. Michigan, in case you were visiting, missed it with a couple of players standing right there on the logo at center court. So I look at it a couple of different ways. One is Michigan State gets offended and gets upset, feeling like they've been disrespected. I understand why you might feel that way. Michigan takes the point of view where, you know what, we're not going to settle for this stuff. Well, it's not your floor. Who are you to say you're settling for something like that? But this is what rivalries are about. Not everything is capiche. And it's okay to ruffle feathers. In fact, I think it's awesome. I think we have missed that in sports. Like, I love the hard fouls. I think it was it Jace Richardson who fouled Vlad Golden really hard across the 2 arms, and then they had to go and take a look at it. I'm thinking, Tina and I are watching this. That's a great foul. Good for him. I mean, you don't want him to try and get an and one. You don't want him to get a layup. You don't want him to get an and one. He made sure he did. Vlad Golden shoving a Spartan. Big deal. What's the problem with that? Don't whine about something like that and then tell me you miss the days of the quote-unquote bad boys or the going to work Pistons and all that other stuff. You can't have it both ways, okay? Embrace it. It's cool. It's a good thing. It's missed in sports in general, not just basketball, but in general. And it's also, I think, refreshing to see it in a rivalry game. They don't like one another. I hate to break the news to you. You don't like them either as a fan. And they don't like you. That's great. I had a buddy text me yesterday, and I completely hear where he's coming from, and I don't disagree with him. He said the logo situation was intentional by the players. You're damn right it was. There's no doubt about that. He said, I don't believe they were told to stand there. They didn't stand there the entire game, late game or not. This is the reason Michigan does itself no favors. They're entitled. I thought Dusty would have done better. I don't know. I don't think Dusty May told them to stand in the middle of the floor. I think those players did it on their own. I don't know if it shows that Michigan is entitled. It shows that they're pissed. It shows that they don't like you. Mateen Cleaves told me something really interesting. He said, One of the Michigan players did that to me, too, on my senior day. You know what I did? I went up, patted him on the ass, and said, "Here you go, big fella." And he kissed the Spartan in the middle of the floor. Cool. You can handle it that way, too, you know. Not everything has to be pushing and shoving. I'm barking and jawing. Now, there before the grace of God go I would probably say something to somebody standing in the way, not preventing you from kissing the floor if you want to. I would be telling them to get the hell off it, show some respect, all those things. I mean, you're kicking the crap out of them the entire game. You kick the crap out of them in Ann Arbor. You've done the same thing in the last 4 games that you've played them, beat them by 10 points or more. So you've got the last lap. Tom Izzo doesn't mind it. And obviously, Michigan shouldn't mind it either. If Michigan had a tradition, and they don't, then perhaps MSU might do something very similar. I don't know. How do you view what took place at the President's Center? The phone number is 866-838-4843. You can text the show, Sports Radio, to 21,000. And let's just, before you start laying down your emotional feelings, understand this. There are times where your favorite players show that quote-unquote disrespect, if you will. It could be pimping a home run. It could be getting over-exuberant over a strikeout. It could be wiggling his way into the end zone for a touchdown, like sometimes Jameson Williams does. It could be a hard foul, like your favorite Piston commits once in a while. It could be beef stew, mixing it up with an opposing player. It goes back to the same stuff that I say all the time. It's our favorites. If we like the player or we follow the team and love the team, then it's okay by us. But if somebody does it against us, there's an issue. Just be consistent. And it's hard to do. I get it. Again, the phone number on my hotline, 866-838-4843. Real quick, I noticed this yesterday with the NFL signings. It's funny. We said this on Thursday. Love Max Crosby, right? I mean, he's a hell of a player. More quarterback pressure since 2020 than anybody else in football. It's not even close. Myles Garrett isn't close. And then TJ Watt. Neither one of them are close to Max Crosby. But Max Crosby says, I want to play for a winner. And then he signs for the Raiders. Signs the extension with the Raiders. Myles Garrett said, I'm done with the Browns. I'm tired of it. I don't want to go through another rebuild. Signs again with the Browns. Now, maybe both these guys are thinking, they're not going to trade me, so at least pay me. And that could be the case. And you can turn things around in the NFL if you get the right person at the right position. DK Metcalf, what did he say? I want to play somewhere warm with a good quarterback. What does he do? He gets traded to Pittsburgh, but then he's reportedly ready to sign a 5-year, $150 million deal, largest in franchise history. A team that plays in cold weather and doesn't have a quarterback at all. Money is the most important thing for all these players until they get to a stage in their career where they've made their big-time bucks but want the ring. While they're young, first and foremost, is the almighty dollar. I'm not saying they're wrong. Just stop with a PR that tells me I want to go somewhere so I can win when you're 27, 28, 29 years old. You're going to follow the money. And then when you get that money at the end of that contract, you're going to say, I'm going to go someplace and I'm going to chase that ring. Von Miller. 866-838-4843. The text line is sports radio to 21,000. Your thoughts on what took place in Breslin Center yesterday. Michigan State here on X's and Bros on Monday morning.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
You're listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network. And if you missed any of today's show, be sure to check out our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you find your podcasts to find the greatest hits from every day's show.
Coming right at you, the excitement you've been waiting for. Eagle Casino and Sports, the mobile casino made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Play slots and table games with live dealers at one exciting site, playeagle.com. Sign up today and get a match deposit up to $1,500. That's right, up to $1,500 plus 100 free spins. Eagle Casino and Sports. Go to playeagle.com and start winning today. Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
All right, back with you here on Extras and Bros on this Monday morning. 8:18, we've got Hero and Heels. Don't forget, 8:18. Get your hero from the weekend, get your heel from the weekend, and we welcome your thoughts on that for sure. We've got ours, and we want to hear from you as well. And you can do so with the text line, Sports Radio to 21,000, or on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. It'll be interesting to see where Michigan State is ranked this week, top 25. I'm not a huge believer that that's always the be-all, end-all when it comes to the NCAA tournament. Team Cleves and I were talking at Soaring Eagle yesterday about while we were watching the Michigan State game, the watch party, we were debating on whether or not Michigan State can get a 1 seed. I think if they reach the Big Ten tournament championship, they don't have to win it because you're going to already know they've already made up their mind. I mean, the NCAA selection committee will be in a room and they've already made up their mind. We already know, obviously Michigan State's going to make the tournament for a 27th straight year, and for his 11th Big Ten title that ties Bobby Knight for most of all time. You'll look there and you go, are they a 1 seed? Well, if they make that championship game, I think they're going to be a 1 seed. The question you have to ask yourself is whether or not you think the 1 seed out west, because they'll be the 4th 1 seed. You're going to rank teams, you're going to rank seeds. The 1-1 will be, whomever. Could be Auburn, could be Duke, I don't know. But those two teams are probably going to be 2 of the ones. Perhaps a team like Houston, I'm just giving you an example here, would be a 1. They're all going to be higher ones than MSU. Would you rather be a 1 seed out west, although Houston could be out west, we'll see where they are, or would you rather be the top 2 seed closer to home? Because Mateen was telling me, en route at the 2000 championship, he said, we played at the Palace. We played in Indianapolis. Those are big, man. You don't have to travel far. Your passionate fan base can follow you. So all those things, really, really important. And quite honestly, I'd rather be closer to home if I were a team. You can be a 1 seed and be proud of that and all that other stuff. But look, you're already in the tournament. You should be considered one of the, I don't know if you want to make it top 8 teams with a chance to win it all. But I know I was talking to a lot of them yesterday. A lot of Michigan State fans are shaking their head. I'm just not sure. I can't convince people how to feel. And I'm not trying to. I'm confused at it. That's all. I just don't get it. I don't get what a team has to do. Now, people can come back and rip on me and say, if they lose early in the NCAA tournament, I told you I was never convinced. That's fine. You saw something I didn't see. I see a team. Look, when they're hitting shots, good luck, man. And if you get behind against them, good luck. It's going to be really hard. Maybe Michigan is not the best example for you because you don't feel like they're all that great either. You got 2 bigs like that, they're going to be a handful early on in the NCAA tournament until they meet a team that has, a way to offset that. Usually you get that later in the tournament. Then they're going to be a really hard team to beat early on. Michigan State, you get behind with them, it's hard. It's so hard to come back on them. The rivalry is one thing. Look at how they played the game. Look at how they defended. Look at how they move their feet. Look at how they switch. Look at how quickly they close on bigs. Really impressive, man. And when you couple that with making shots, like Trey Holloman was making shots, Jaden Atkins early on was making shots. They don't tell me they can't beat anybody. You may not think they have the athleticism to hang with certain players on other teams, and that's fine, but you don't always need one player. What you need is guys who are connected defensively, because you're not always going man-man. This isn't the Gus Macker tournament. It's not always man-man. I got this guy, you got that guy, you'll take him, and we'll just stay on those guys. You are constantly switching. You are constantly communicating. And that's what Michigan State does exceptionally well. That's why they dominated yesterday, 79-62. Pistons, nice win in Portland. Red Wings play Ottawa tonight. Lions reportedly will release Zadarius Smith. Alexander Ovechkin now 9 away from passing Wayne Gretzky for most goals in a career. Browns and Myles Garrett agree on a record 4-year extension. Harold Landry, a 3-year deal in New England. Josh Allen, a record deal for guaranteed money, $250 million. And the Rams have signed Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is older than Cooper Kupp. So a lot of people might go, I don't get it. Devontae Adams wanted to go to LA, so he wanted to be either part of the Chargers, part of the Rams, or perhaps the Niners, but he wanted to be closer out to the West Coast. And then DK Metcalf is now headed to Pittsburgh in a trade for a second-round pick. We remind people who last year told us, I would trade Hendon Hooker for a first-round pick. Anybody would. Nobody would give it to you, but anybody would do that for sure. DK Metcalf, a pretty accomplished wide receiver, and he garners a second-round choice. That's how you got to look at it. The poll question is, do you believe Michigan State can make a Final Four push? Yes or no? Vote as often as you like at XP Mornings, and we will have the results for you in the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow. Yesterday, social media was ablaze. Newspaper articles written as well, many by Michigan State feeling disrespected, feeling like it was a punk move for Michigan. I saw clips of this is how Michigan played Michigan State when they were shooting free throws, and this is how they played them in the final minutes. Don't tell me it wasn't intentional. Of course it was intentional. Honestly, while you're looking at that, does anybody honestly feel that it wasn't intentional? Michigan didn't try to hide that it wasn't intentional. Of course it was. The question or not is, was it necessary? And it probably wasn't necessary either. I like attitude. I like attitude on my team. I don't have a whole team of it, but there are certain guys I like that. Yesterday, I'm watching a watch party at Soaring Eagle with Team Lees. He said, look, my freshman year, Michigan trucked us. Robert Traylor was talking smack. Maurice Taylor was talking smack. He said, I couldn't get away from it. They just pounded us. And they had every right to do that. You know what? Michigan State had every right. They beat the snot out of Michigan twice this season, but especially yesterday. It's easy for me to say, and to say, you know what? Eat your humble pie, take your medicine, and get back on the bus. We're not involved in the matchup. We're not involved in the emotional battle. We're not hearing what's being said to us under people's breath and out loud. We're not hearing what's being said by the student body or by anybody sitting courtside with those expensive seats. So I'm not going to claim to say, this is what you should do. This is what you're supposed to do. There's too many people with a microphone who act like they've been in that situation, so this is how they would handle it when they've never been in that situation, and they have no idea how they would handle it. I like attitude on both sides. I loved that Michigan stood there. I love that Michigan State pushed back. It's believed that Trey Holloman said, hey, get off the logo. This is what we do in a tradition. If you don't think Michigan knew what they did in the tradition, you are extremely naive. And Michigan said no. So Michigan State told him and pushed him and got him off the logo. And you could read his lips when he went to the sideline. F them, man. I love that. How do you not love the emotional buy-in by a leader on the Michigan State team? And isn't there a part of you that says, yeah, cool, dust it up a little bit. Bring it to me a little bit. I dare you a little bit if you're Michigan. Absolutely. Phone number in the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. You can text the show Sports Radio to 21,000. I can only imagine what a lot of fans were saying to one another while it was taking place. I'm sure from a Michigan State fan standpoint, they're looking at one another going, this is bullcrap, man. Why would that team do that? No class, so on and so forth. And if you're a Michigan fan, you're going, good for you. Show some attitude. Show some spunk. That's okay. Tom Izzo didn't, not that he didn't have a problem with it. He said it was kind of unfortunate. But, this is what happens in a rivalry. Don't tell me you don't want the rivalry. You want the emotional part of the rivalry, and you have to understand this comes with it a lot of times. Not always, but a lot of times this comes with it. Those are the things that create it. It's not just Michigan against Michigan State, because that's what it is for fans. How do you emotionally get those players involved? A lot of these guys, they don't know what it's like to play in that game. It's hard to describe. It's hard for me to tell you what it's like and how you should feel unless you're truly on the inside of things. And even then, I don't do it justice. It's up to the player to experience that. You can say, yeah, I know what it's like all you want. But until you're actually in it, it's really hard to tell people the emotions that are going through your mind and your heart when you're playing them. Izzo gets that. Early in his career, he might have had an issue with what took place yesterday. But my guess is yesterday he was probably, you know what? This is all part of it. I didn't get an explanation that I'd like to see from mid-core what Dusty May and Tom Izzo were talking about. But this is the stuff that happens with Duke and North Carolina. Don't tell me that you want Michigan State to be the similar rivalry that Duke North Carolina has, and then back off in a situation like we just saw yesterday. Since Duke North Carolina has something very similar. Just because they don't go and kiss their logo with somebody standing on it doesn't mean there aren't certain moments where the rivalry takes a different step, a higher step, a more emotional step. No question that it happens. This is why Michigan State fans hate Michigan, and this is why Michigan fans hate Michigan State. I say good for them. I say embrace it. I say this is what you've asked for. This is what it's about. You like certain guys being the tough guy? You like certain players showcasing the Detroit attitude, and then you're going to complain about this? Please. 866-838-4843. Text the show Sports Radio to 21,000. A little humbling news, if you believe in polls, for the Tigers. It's a little humbling. You're looking at the various franchises. The Athletic came out with franchise rankings over the past 25 years. What have you seen from the Tigers over the past 25 years? They've got them at 17. 6 playoff seasons. They've got 2 divisional series losses, 2 championship series losses, 2 World Series losses, 4 division titles, 6 consecutive 90-loss seasons. They write the Tigers ended the decade-long postseason drought in style last year with a surprise second-half surge. 9 games under 500 early July, sold at the trade deadline, still 500 as of late September 7th, but the Tigers streaked into the playoffs. The roster does not scream championship contender, is what they write. But with reigning Cy Young Award winner Tarek Skubal and with more than top 100 prospects, 7 of them, than any other team, Tigers certainly are capable of making noise again this season. I read that and I thought, okay. Because the Tigers are promoting, I get why they would, they should. And you'll see the TV graphics doing the same thing, and they should. That's the way it works in television. You promote the team you're covering and the team you carry. Middle of the season, you know where the Red Wings farm system ranked? 5th. 5th in the National Hockey League. Trade deadline comes. An uninspiring draft or trade for Peter Mrazek and Craig Smith for Joe Veleno. People were all up in arms. Could you argue the Red Wings' expectations and are further along in getting closer to their ultimate goal than the Tigers are? I don't hear anybody boasting about their farm system or a willingness to trade any of those young players for an established, solid frontline scorer or solid defensive player. Why is that? Why is it we're only looking at one team and promoting how good their prospects are, and yet the Red Wings prospect of their farm system is considered among the best in all the NHL, and we just say, you know what, it doesn't matter to us. You pin your hopes with the Tigers on guys like Job and Clark and others, but for the Red Wings, you're not going to look at their farm system and suggest these are the guys who are the future. These are the guys who I think are going to lead us to a Stanley Cup. And the reason is because you're not necessarily following as closely or getting inundated by the media, which is where we get a lot of our information, oftentimes skewed, about Nate Danielson or Trey Augustine or Axel Sandlin-Palika or Michael Brandstad-Nygaard. Those names don't flow off your tongue like Max Clark and Jackson Jobe and Ty Madden and Jace Young. 866-838-4843. The text line Sports Radio to 21,000. 818, we've got our hero and heel coming up here on X's and Bros on a Monday morning.
Kill Tony, the #1 live podcast in the world.
He's always working on her craft. Macaroni and cheese.
Friday, March 14th, Tony Hinchcliffe at Soaring Eagle.
Your blood type is delicious.
Tickets start at $72 and are on sale now at the box office or etix.com. Check out the hottest comedy of 2025, Tony Hinchcliffe. March 14th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Relax, I only have so much time. I'm killing too hard.
More at SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
At Meijer, we work hard to bring more of the good life to your life so you can bring home more perfectly plump and flavorful produce picked for precise freshness. Beautifully marbled, beyond brag-worthy certified Angus beef. And more must-have money-saving M-Perks rewards. Because saving more on local favorites is good. But bringing home more of what you love in every trip, that's the good life. We do more to make life a good deal better at Meijer.
Hey, Michigan, let's go big. I'm Herman Moore, Lions All-Pro wide receiver, and I'm talking real big-time winning on the hottest slots and table games on one incredible app, Eagle Casino and Sports.
Sign up now and get up to $1,500. That's right. We'll match your deposit for up to $1,500, and you'll get 100 free spins.
Eagle Casino and Sports. Made in Michigan, made for Michigan.
Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
You're listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network. And if you missed any of today's show, be sure to check out our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you find your podcasts to find the greatest hits from every day's show.
read something the other day where they were suggesting that the Seattle Mariners rotation of George Kittle and Luis Castillo and Brian Wu and Bryce Miller might be, according to Justin Turner, the best 5 starting pitchers in the history of the game, which I think is absolutely laughable. I mean, it shows you that even today, even players today get caught up in the moment. It's not just fans. It's not just talk show hosts. It's not just play-by-play voices or color analysts or things like that. Those are not the people who necessarily get caught. To suggest that this year's Seattle rotation is even close, is even the same ballpark as John Smoltz and Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux and Denny Nagel and Kevin Millwood or Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling and Brian Anderson and guys like that. Even back in the day, Baltimore with Mike Cuellar and Jim Palmer and Dave McNally and Pat Dobson, I believe, was the other one. I don't know about the early 60s and teams like that. Hell, even look at the Tigers, for crying out loud, in 2013. You think that Seattle is better than Verlander and Scherzer and Fister and Sanchez and Porcello with a 5th starter? Verlander with Houston in 2022 was with Framber Valdez, Luis Garcia, Christian Javier, Jose Urquidy. Those guys are pretty damn good. The year after the Tigers won in 1984, that's their last championship, by the way, 41 years. The Royals had a starting rotation of Brett Saberhagen, Charlie Lebrand, Danny Jackson, those guys were both lefties, Bud Black, lefty, and Mark Gubicza. Gubicza was a righty, Saberhagen was a righty, and then they had 3 lefties. Pretty damn good. Saberhagen won the Cy Young. Would you take that? Probably too young for many of you. In 72, though, the Angels, they were then the Los Angeles Angels, had Nolan Ryan, Clyde Wright, Rudy May, Andy Messerschmidt, Ricky Clark. Pretty awesome rotation. 1966, the Dodgers had Don Drysdale, Don Sutton, Sandy Koufax, and Claude Osteen. Go back and look at it. Hell, even the Mariners in 2003. Josh Beckett, Brad Penny, Carl Pavano, Dontrell Willis, Mark Redmond. Those guys were outstanding. You want to make it recent? 2021. The Brewers had Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, Freddie Peralta was really good that year. Eric Lahr, Adrian Hauser. I mean, I don't get where some of these people are just, to me, it makes no sense. I don't understand it. It's not that they're bad. It's just that you're going to say the best of all time. It's crazy. Anyway, Justin Turner says the organization is wasting its chance at getting a World Series. He's asking out loud, what the hell's going on here? He said, as much as I wanted to be back there, if I was the only piece they brought back in, I would be saying the same thing. What the hell are we doing? Are you trying? There's not going to be a better time for it. So I don't know what they're doing. I'm very confused. It's a head scratcher for me. Now, we know Turner went with the Cubs in free agency. So it's not as big a deal to him right now what Seattle does. But it got me thinking a little bit. We all agree that the Tigers' strength is pitching. I'm not going to claim that their starting rotation is better than Seattle's. But with a Triple Crown winner, we've all seen Reese Olson, and he's got really good stuff. We all believe in Jackson Jobe. There's a part of him that You love the cockiness, the confidence. The difference, I think, between the two goes back to my argument when we first started the show regarding Michigan and Michigan State. Here's a guy who hasn't pitched much in the major leagues at all, but he's got an aura about him. And people down in Lakeland, can't wait to read this article. This guy's got it. He's got the attitude that you need to be a starting pitcher. If you get a cornerback in football, gotta have that attitude, man. Gotta be able to wash it away. Short memory, forget. Don't be afraid to get after him, right? You can talk it up a little bit. But if a college basketball player does it, somebody else says, oh, wait, hold on. Total disrespect. Well, Jackson Jobe's not showing any disrespect. Come on. Give me a break, man. Anyway, you feel good with him. Casey Mize has looked good in spring training. I know, it's just spring training. But he's got better stuff. He's got better movement, renewed focus, all these things. If you feel like that's the strength, could you not say, to a certain extent, hey, man, what the hell are we doing? How come you're not going out and getting somebody? The argument you would have is, wait a minute, Shep, they tried to get Alex Bregman. They gave him a longer term. They were willing to give him more money. He just didn't want to come here. Shoved all their eggs in one basket. If you were listening to this show, what did I say? Anthony Santander. It told me there was a certain amount you can have. I mean, you're going to the grocery store. It's not like you're buying everything off the shelves, right? You have a budget. The Tigers have a budget too. I get it. The early part of that budget was taken by one-year deals. The Gleyber Torres deal, a one-year contract. Alex Cobb, one-year contract. Tommy Kahnle, one-year contract. I understand that. I wouldn't have wanted to sign those guys long-term either. I just wondered aloud at the time, and I think it's proven true. How about going to get a guy like an Anthony Santander, sign him to a few years, cover up the issue, bring in the power, solve an issue that you've had for a while, and then worry about those one-year deals. And it seemed to me like they're like, okay, we're going to piecemeal this together, and then our focus is going to be all on Alex Bregman. If we don't get Alex Bregman, well, we've got our young guys. And at times, the young guys have looked great. I mean, we were at the Soaring Eagle Casino doing our show Friday afternoon. Riley Green went 3 for 3. Spencer Torkelson went 3 for 3, had 2 bombs, which didn't matter. Max Clark does something. Jackson Jobe does something. Casey Mize does something. They look pretty damn good. Actually, take Mize out of it. Torkelson does something good. Mize does something good. It's spring training. You want to be proven. I get it. Totally understand it. You want people to show you that they can do certain things, that they've earned it. Riley Green gets the benefit of the doubt. The young guys were just too excited about it. There's Max Clark. He did it good at bat, man. Good sacrifice fly. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Kid's only 19, 20 years old. Yeah. I give him kudos too. And I understand, totally understand why you're not sure. It's just spring training for certain guys. You can only do what you can do in the situations that present themselves. And certain guys did that. But the point is, Justin Turner's upset. Maybe he feels like Seattle's window is now, that window phrase again. And maybe people feel like the Tigers is more broad. So it's a different scenario. But it did make me wonder, what are we doing here if you're not going to spend the money on somebody? Or if you're not going to go out and address your issues? I guess it depends on whether or not you think those issues, A, are so deep that they need addressing, and B, if you have the pieces in place already to address them now. I would say yes to the former, no to the latter. Meyer hotline 866-838-4843. You can text the program Sports Radio to 21,000. This is X's and Bros, proudly brought to you by Meyer.
Friday, April 4th at Soaring Eagle Casino. Los Lobos and Los Lonely Boys. The Brotherhood Tour. Tickets start at $47 and are on sale now at the Soaring Eagle box office and etix.com. April 4th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. East LA meets Texican. The Brotherhood Tour. Los Lobos and Los Lonely Boys. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
When you're on the go, every minute of the day counts. Meyer Home Delivery and Pickup helps you make the most of every second. Get all your weekly shopping online, quickly and easily, from wherever you are, whenever you want. Then have your Meyer order delivered to your home, or swing by and pick it up when you're out and about. Whatever works best for your schedule. The good life is in reach with Meyer Home Delivery and Pickup.
Hey, Michigan fans, did you know that your favorite craft brewery is also a proud supporter of Michigan athletics? That's right. Founders Brewing Company has been brewing up high-quality, highly rated beers like All Day IPA, Michigan Pilsner, and their new Mortal Bloom right here in Michigan for over 25 years. As a proud supporter of Michigan athletics, they're here to help you celebrate every Wolverine win with the perfect beer in hand. Whether you're at the game, tailgating, or watching from home, there's nothing like enjoying a Michigan-made beer from Founders. Learn more at foundersbrewing.com.
18 after the hour. Welcome back. X's and BrO's Monday through Friday from 6 until 9. Wherever it is you may be listening, we appreciate it very much. Glad you're with us on this Monday morning. One of the cooler things you saw yesterday at Breslin Center was, and this didn't get any publicity on TV because the network had shifted to a new game. But usually the tradition at MSU is that you have seniors on senior day, whether you're winning or losing, come out and kiss the logo in the middle of the floor. When you see the reaction of Jaden Akins, a senior from Farmington. I'm from Farmington Hills. He's from Farmington, Michigan. And when you see a guy have that type of emotion, he's from Farmington, but he went to high school there. Went to Sunrise Christian Academy in Kansas. But when you see a guy have that type of emotion, that it's his last game there, and how he has grown as a player, I like him a lot. I think he's a really good player. How he's grown as a young man. It tells you something about how important that institution, that team, and that program has been to him and affecting him as now a grown man. It's amazing. It really is. It got, I don't care whether you like him or not, or whether you like Michigan State or not. Watching him in his last game, and it's not just an MSU thing, it could be just about anybody, gets to you. For me, it got to me a little bit. It's not like I went to Michigan State. I didn't go to Michigan. I went to CMU. Seeing somebody do that, seeing that emotional part of them, knowing that this is it. I'm never coming back here as a player. I was an alum. I'll support the program for as long as I have to. But not coming back as a player. That got to me a little bit. The coolest part, though, is that after Michigan State had their banner of 2025 Big Ten champions, and there are distinguished alumni on the floor. The team is on the floor. Their family is on the floor. Tom Izzo's got the microphone. He's in the middle of the floor. And he calls up Trey Holland, who's a junior. From what I can recall, no junior has been given the privilege of kissing the middle of the floor. He was allowed to do that, or told to do that, however you want to look at it, for standing up for the tradition that Michigan State has. He's the one who told the two Michigan players get off the logo. And when they wouldn't, he forcibly tried to do that. Now, I've already made my point on how I feel about it. I want rivalries in sports, not fake ones, okay? Not made up ones for television. I want deep down rooted rivalries. We've lost it. You and I have talked about this forever. How many true rivalries are there in baseball? Go. I know what you're going to say. Yankees, Red Sox. Yeah, thanks ESPN. It's true, but ESPN just hammers us like we're the nail and they're the mallet and just knocking us out left and right with it. Cubs, Cardinals? I think so. Dodgers, Giants? Yes. Anything else? Mm-mm. Basketball rivalries. You got them for me? Go. Oh, Lakers, Celtics. I got it. Okay. Such an easy one, right? Yes, the two franchises with the most championships. They meet twice a year. Come on. Really? In basketball, twice a year? That's the rivalry? You want to hang your hat on? Okay. Basically, what you're telling me, there isn't any in the NBA then. NHL. Where do we go? Original six. Do you feel it in the building when the Red Wings and Blackhawks are playing right now? No. I would say Red Wings, Maple Leafs. I would say, Bruins, Rangers, Devils, maybe. There's a select few. College football? Absolutely. There's quite a few. And you notice there's more in college football than there are in the NFL. You want rivalries in basketball, too. We said this last week. Give me the rivalries in college basketball. Duke, North Carolina, Shep. I said Kentucky, Louisville. You want Michigan, Michigan State. These are the things that make it up. That's okay. You're a Spartan, you're offended. Grow thicker skin. You're pissed. Good. That's a good thing. You should be. But the offensive stuff is like, oh my God, please. You're a Michigan? I'm going to show you. You got schooled. You weren't even in the game. You've lost the last 4 by 10 points or more in each. Knock it off. Don't act like a tough guy now. Our phone number is 866-838-4843. It is really easy for me to say this because I don't have that close affiliation, that emotional tie to either. I'm just telling you how I think it should be, and I think it's awesome that there's bad blood. Because in rivalries, I want that. I don't want, hey, can you come on over here so you and I can swap jerseys? That's what I mean about the hypocrisy. You're pissed off at the end of a Lions game because Kerryon Arnold is trading jerseys with Jordan Love. But then something like this happens, and you're like, hey, you shouldn't do that. Which way do you want it, man? Let's get to some text. Go ahead.
I commend Trey Hellerman for standing up for his senior teammates. Dusty May played dumb and said he did not know it was the tradition. Kudos to Michigan State on a great season, and good luck to the Spartans in the dance.
Yeah, I would say kudos to Trey Hellerman, too. I find that hard to believe that Dusty May didn't know it was a tradition. It's hard to come to a new state and understand all things and all traditions. That is something you had to have known going into that game. And if you didn't know, shame on the people around you for not telling you what's about to take place. You don't have to know every single tradition. You don't have to know if you're a Clemson new head football coach and you go into Virginia Tech, they play Enter Sandman coming out of the tunnel. Just want you to know that. No, it's not a big deal. Something like that at the end of the game, in a rivalry game, in their building, important to know. Don't play dumb with me. Sorry. And I like Dusty May. I think he's really good. I do. I like him a lot. I think he's going to be a really good head coach there for an extended period of time. But I don't buy that. Okay, give me another text.
Shep, I'm a Sparty. I love the rivalry. I think it's fine what Michigan did. I used to cheer for them when they don't play us until I realized a lot of Michigan fans do not care the same about Sparty. Go green, go white. That's from Pablo and Holland.
Thank you very much, Pablo and Holland. Thanks for listening there on WMAX 96.1 FM The Game. I think you're right about that. Michigan State is a basketball school. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
When you have the success they've had, 27 straight NCAA tournaments, 11 Big Ten titles under Tom Izzo, the last Big Ten team to win a national championship, regularly in that conversation among the best programs in the country, you're not getting the same feel from their football program. You did for a period of time, but not like this. So if you have to throw somebody in a box, football or basketball school, Minnesota's a hockey school, but if you can just give me the two boxes, Michigan State would you say it's a basketball school? I would guess so. Michigan, you would say, is what? A football school. I think that the buy-in factor is higher for Michigan State basketball than it would be for Michigan State football. We'll get to more texts on the other side. Phone number is 866-838-4843. You can text the show, Sports Radio to 21,000. We're brought to you by Meijer. here on this Monday morning in the 7 o'clock hour.
At Meyer, we work hard to bring more of the good life to your life, so you can bring home more perfectly plump and flavorful produce picked for precise freshness, beautifully marbled, beyond brag-worthy certified Angus beef, and more must-have money-saving M-Perks rewards. Because saving more on local favorites is good, but bringing home more of what you love in every trip, that's the good life. We do more to make life a good deal better at Meyer.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
The Freddy the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
You're listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network. And if you missed any of today's show, be sure to check out our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you find your podcasts to find the greatest hits from every day's show.
Remember how I always tell you we kind of get caught up on things on social media where you can go into a rabbit hole. For me, a lot of it is golf. I went to the Golf Expo on Saturday morning in Novi, Michigan. I don't know if you've ever been there. Unbelievable. The amount of people that file into this place. Don't tell me that Michigan isn't a golf haven. I don't know if it's a golf destination. I would strongly encourage people from other parts of the country to come play Michigan golf, especially up north. It's just incredible. It's breathtaking. It's as beautiful as you could possibly find. Like, there's so much made of Pebble Beach and other places. Sure, they've got the ocean and it's beautifully laid out. There's a lot of places, and I mean a lot of places in the state of Michigan where you can get lost in a good way. I don't mean your ball. That's me. My ball getting lost. I'm talking about you in general, right? So I'm watching this the other day, some different golf instructions, which is probably not the best thing for me because you're constantly thinking over and over and over again. And I'm thinking about the 3-wood I just bought at the Golf Expo, and the golf balls and hats and the towel and so many different things that I wanted to buy. I went with my son. He bought a 3-wood and he bought a wedge and he bought some hats and he bought some other things. It was really a cool experience. I told my wife, this was a great day. Now I know what it's like when you and my daughter go to the mall, which I couldn't handle. She couldn't have handled yesterday or Saturday, and that's okay. So I'm watching this video of Arnold Palmer. Now, obviously, one of the greatest golfers of all time, but he's got a beautiful swing. It's not Rory McIlroy's swing. It's not Tiger Woods' power. It's not the ability to shape and hit every shot seemingly perfect like Scotty Scheffler. He doesn't have that smooth entrance into the ball and exit like Phil Mickelson, but man, was it effective. In 2001, Arnold Palmer was 71 years old, and he played PGA West, and he shot a 71. He shot his age. No one has been able to do that since. Have you ever shot a 71?
Not close.
Maybe in a dream for me. Maybe in a video game, not even in a simulator. I think that's just sensational. It's amazing to me. It's like Bob Gibson. Here's one for you. Bob Gibson had more complete games than wins. Think about that for a moment. That's how great he was. I think he had 200, and you can look this up if you want, Trent. I think he had 253 complete games, and he had 251 wins. I was talking with Mateen Cleaves at Soaring Eagle yesterday during the watch party. And he's like, man, Shep, I'm old school. I like old school. And I said to him, me too. It's one of the many reasons I like it. Me too. I like old school guys. I don't know when old school stops being old school. I don't know when it turns the page in your new school. I really don't. But Bob Gibson, to me, was old school. Loved him. 255, excuse me. He won 251. He had 255 complete games. To me, that's old school. Again, when do you turn the page? When is new school? I don't know. I thought what Trey Holloman did yesterday was old school. I thought what the two Michigan players did was sort of old school too. And maybe that's why I liked it. I like attitude. Let's get to some more texts. You can text us, Sports Radio to 21,000. Or you can call us on the Meyer hotline, and Meyer sponsors this hour of X's and Bros. 866-838-4843. What do we have next?
This comes from Trashman Niles, who, Chef, we met at Ascend, Soaring Eagle.
Yeah, Friday night. That was fantastic. Yeah. Really appreciate him coming up and saying hello.
He says, good morning, y'all. Soaring Eagle is awesome. First time there. Sweet putting faces to y'all's voices. Let's have a good week. And then he throws in a little PS, says, I can't help but laugh because, Trent, your voice sounds like you're a big dude. And obviously I'm not. So I I had to throw that in there. Trashman Niles also said he put $100 on State to win, and he's a Michigan fan, but he said he saw this one coming. So good for you. That cashed easily.
It sure did. I don't know how much you make off that. But I think a lot of people expected a win. Now, I don't know if they expected that big of a win and that dominating of a win. Sometimes the final score doesn't always.
It's not indicative
indicate
sometimes
of how good one team played over the other. Maybe it's probably a little both. I didn't think that was a close game at all. It was over early. It wasn't great for the watch party, but we did have fun there. It was over quickly. 80s Lansing. And I think a lot of it, and I think I said this, I forget exactly what the score was. It was 30 to, I don't know, 30 to 16 or something like that, 30 to 14. Vlad Golden was the only one who was scoring for Michigan. Sloppy play, actually kind of sloppy for both teams. It got a little helter-skelter in there where there was 3 or 4 consecutive turns. But I said to Matina, I go, this game's over, man. I said, it's so hard to come back on a team like that, Michigan State, that defends so well. I know it's not sexy. I know it's not the most eye-pleasing thing for you. But when you can, challenge yourself once in a while. I have to do this quite a bit too. Challenge yourself once in a while and watch the game differently than you usually do. Instead of following the basketball, follow the defensive team and watch them move their feet or not. Watch them communicate with one another or not. Watching them get their hands in lanes, hold their hands up high, all these other things. I love watching that aspect of the game. We were talking about Carr. We were talking about Jackson. We were talking about so many different people, Jackson Kohler. We were talking about so many different people, Matina and I, yesterday. And I said, I love the way he moves his feet. I love the way he high heads. I love the defensive side of things because it takes effort. I shouldn't say it's easy, but the thing to do oftentimes for people is watch the ball in the net and then watch that guy pose or watch him give the three in the veins and all that other stuff. I want to see how the defensive team is playing him. It's geeky, I know, but that's just what I enjoy doing most. When it comes to that stuff, it's just like football. I enjoy watching the interior part of the offensive line, 2 guards in the center. Baseball, I love watching guys up the middle talk to one another. I love to watch where a catcher is setting up, right? I like to see where a hitter is looking. Is he going center field, right center, depending on the pitcher he's facing? Or is he looking to pull the ball on a regular basis like Jose Altuve? Trent and I were bar side, and we watched Torkelson hit that home run opposite field. Didn't try to do too much. Reaches out, right field, just like Gleyber Torres did. It's a beautiful swing. Exactly what you need. Needs more of that, right? Instead of trying to pull everything, try to coming over and pulling your shoulder, all those different things. I love watching that aspect of it. More text. Go ahead.
This one says, your buddy nailed it. Michigan is classless, always has been. I don't know about that, but the sentiment and the emotion is there. I get it.
Yeah. Classless is how do you define what they did?
I think it was classless. I think that's fine, but I wouldn't go as far as to say always have been. You know, I mean, granted,
I wouldn't say always has been. I agree with you on that. I don't think they've always been classless. I don't think that's fair to say at all. Under John Beeline, under Tommy Amaker, even Tommy Amaker was coaching. They're getting their ass kicked on a regular basis. You didn't think they were classless then, did you? They didn't do anything about it.
I would go as far as to say what they did yesterday. I would call that classless. They absolutely knew what they were doing. They tried to play dumb afterwards, and I just think that's a cowardly, classless move.
Well, cowardly, yes. Classless, like I said, Mateen Cleave saw it. He experienced it, and he patted him on the butt and said, "Hey, how you doing, big fella?" And then he kissed. Did they prevent them from kissing the logo?
No, but they're trying to insert themselves into the tradition.
Right.
And ruin the moment and ruin the photo op or whatever.
Which is unnecessary.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, is it classless? Yeah, I think that could be a good way of explaining it.
Sure as hell isn't classy, and it's not sportsmanlike.
I think it's part of, like I said, I think it's part of rivalries where you just can't stand the other one, and you're trying to show a little attitude.
Hell yeah, Michigan Ohio State football this year, right? That was a national topic for a week on sports talk radio shows, not just this one.
Yeah, it wasn't when Texas did it in Ann Arbor, which is interesting. But it was with Michigan, Ohio State because of the rivalry, right? Look, I wouldn't encourage my team to do that. I don't know if I can expect Dusty May to notice that he's got two guys on the Spartan logo and tell him, hey, get off, get off. I don't know if you can expect that. Maybe this is something going forward. He'll say, I don't want to see any of that. I don't, to me, it doesn't matter. They were still able to kiss the logo. They shoved it in Michigan's face. Isn't that enough? More text. Go ahead.
We got a hero and heel submission. Heel Michigan players on the S. No surprise there. Hero Anaheim for getting a 1 and a prospect for Wallman. Also a 2 from Detroit. So
that's a good trade.
Fair trade there.
Yeah, I think that's a really good text. There's a lot of people pissed off about the Wallman trade originally last year. Had some problems with the coaching staff and some internal strife going on there. What Steve Eisman got back, that's the frustrating part. And I think people's frustration is Steve Eisman not doing much at the trade deadline. Now, I've heard that he has wanted and tried to put together packages for bigger names, only to be stifled by teams. So we don't always know what happens behind closed doors, but we do know what happens out in the open. And to say that it was uninspiring trading for Peter Mrazek and Craig Smith, I think, is an understatement. I don't know what you were expecting at the trade deadline. I was expecting a little bit more than he's telling us that Craig Smith is going to help on the fourth line. You needed help up front, not on the fourth line. Okay, if all you wanted was a fourth line guy, I guess you could have just stayed with Joe Veleno. I mean, Smith is a little bit older, 35. He's a little bit more proven. He scored 20 goals or more 3 times in his career, but that was a while ago. All right. So he's going to be. I think he's going to be more productive. It's an upgrade, but it's not so much of an upgrade that makes us go, okay, this changes things. I think many people were thinking, you're going to change some things here. You're going to get the opportunity to actually do something about it. Where in the past, we haven't necessarily seen that. I can't for the life of me figure out the Peter Mrazek deal. I don't know what you got. You already have 2 goaltenders. Is it an issue? Not as much as the blue line, which is basically you're telling me, okay, on the blue line, you're going to expect Jeff Petrie back. And that's going to be a big upgrade when everybody knows his time is basically over. I don't get that. I can't figure out the Mrazek deal, who has had a save percentage of less than 90 3 out of the last 4 years. Doesn't move the needle at all. And Steve Eisman or any general manager shouldn't go into a trade deadline saying, you know what, I got to move the needle for the fans. You got to do what's best for your organization, what you think is best for your organization. How am I making this organization better? Trading Joe Veleno, okay, he was a non-factor anyway. You're getting back a guy who's probably going to be, for the most part, a non-factor in Craig Smith. It's not a long-term fix. He's a slight upgrade, nothing special. How many minutes? Is he going to get 11 minutes a game? Is that going to make a huge difference? Maybe he'll earn more. I hope he does. Peter Mrazek doesn't do anything. I don't think he does a damn thing. It's not better than either one of the guys you have right now. I bet you there's a lot of Red Wings fans who would rather see Sebastian Kosick come up.
I was just going to say that. I think that I heard some discourse in the fan base about that exact point. was, what is the point of bringing a goaltender in that's not any better than the two you have necessarily?
Because
and you have
of
the
this.
younger guy.
Because the young guy's got to play.
Yes.
That's the only thing I could argue to that. I would like to see more Sebastian Cossa too, not because of what he did while he was with the Wings, but because he is a former first-round pick and is supposed to be one of the guys you build around moving forward. Steve Yzerman's first-round pick, right? But he needs to play. I don't want him coming here and sitting.
No.
It's stupid.
You want an idea
like a
of what you
baseball
have.
player coming in and playing, once every other series, maybe getting a few at-bats in a couple of series. It doesn't make any sense. Have them down in AAA or AA and have them seeing as many pitches as they can possibly get so they can fight through some of their frustrations and so they can feel the success in what they're doing right. That is better development for them.
Yeah, Shep, if I can call back on what I think is a great example of this. Remember Jackson Jobe in the playoffs?
Sure.
And there were some people, myself included, that thought that was too big of a moment for him, too big of a spot. What are you doing? And your point, correctly, was then why is he on the team? Why bring him up for the playoff run if you don't think he can pitch in the playoffs? What's the point?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And that changed my perspective.
For people, I don't think you said this, and you phrased it that way now, but from what I can recall, you didn't phrase it that it's too big of a moment for him. If people think it's too big of a moment, they might be inserting themselves into that situation.
Yes.
Or they might be feeling like a young guy it's too big of a moment for a young player. Then I would ask them this. Is it too big of a moment for Jahmyr Gibbs when he first took his first handoff?
No.
Was it too big of a moment for Penei Sewell when he first had to face a defensive end like Myles Garrett?
If it was, you couldn't tell.
At some point, you've got to get their feet wet. Well, I want it to be in the regular season. Look, what's wrong with finding out right away? It wasn't too big for the kid. That's the difference. It might be too big for you because you get nervous on a 6-foot putt on hole number 18 where there are people out on the terrace having a sandwich and a beer and looking at you.
Yeah.
But it's not too big for them because they've lived in that moment forever. Just because Sam Darnold says I'm seeing ghosts doesn't mean every young player is. It's okay. But for Sebastian Cossa, I think for goalies, they got to see shots. It's a rhythmic position. You've got to be out there on the ice seeing a lot of shots. So I think that's a really important thing. That's not even my point. My point is you got two goalies. That's who you're going to play. Play Cam Talbot and Alex Lyon. You thought they were good enough for right now. Peter Mrazek's not going to come in and be the second coming of, Martin Brodeur. 866-838-4843. The text line is Sports Radio to 21,000. We get to the final results of Friday's poll question. We also have our daily wager results from Friday. And at 8:18, Kira O'Heal, the final hour of X's and Bros.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddyThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddyThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, Together, we can make a difference.
Saturday, April 5th, Soaring Eagle Casino becomes Daryl's house. Don't miss a legend live, Daryl Hall, with special guest Glenn Tilbrook of Squeeze. Tickets start at $62 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. Make your favorite Sarah smile. Daryl Hall with Glenn Tilbrook, Saturday, April 5th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
When you're on the go, every minute of the day counts. Meyer Home Delivery and Pickup helps you make the most of every second. Get all your weekly shopping online, quickly and easily, from wherever you are, whenever you want. Then have your Meyer order delivered to your home, or swing by and pick it up when you're out and about. Whatever works best for your schedule. The good life is in reach with Meyer Home Delivery and Pickup.
Coming right at you. The excitement you've been waiting for. Eagle Casino and Sports. The mobile casino made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Play slots and table games with live dealers at one exciting site. PlayEagle.com. Sign up today and get a match deposit up to $1,500. That's right, up to $1,500 plus 100 free spins. Eagle Casino and Sports. Go to PlayEagle.com and start winning today. Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
When you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
Home run! Home run! He hit it a mile! Let's give them the keys to the Hall of Fame, but not tonight. Tonight they are in the Stanley Cup. Steve Eiserman, come get it.
It feels like heaven must be lying.
I got one question for you, Michigan Nation. Who's got it better than us?
Right center field. That's got carry. It's gone. Number 500 and history for Miguel Cabrera.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Yes.
This game is over.
Let's put the kick.
They score. Red Wings win. Detroit basketball.
Final hour of the program. Glad you're with us on this Monday. Hope all is well. Hope you had a good weekend. It's March 10th. This is X's and Bros. We are with you Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. And wherever it is you may be listening, we appreciate it very much. Maybe it's in Cadillac on WKD, the Ticket 93.7 FM, in Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo in Holland, WMAX 96.1 FM, The Game. Perhaps it's in Petoskey and Charlevoix, WMBN 104.7 FM, the Ticket Northern Michigan, WVFN AM in Lansing, The Score, 7:30 a.m., and in Traverse City, WKD 93.7 FM, the Ticket. Perhaps you're watching us stream live on Facebook and on YouTube, on X's and Bros, or maybe just on Twitter. And you can follow us on X at XB Mornings. It is there where we give you a poll question every single day. We'll give you the results here from Friday's poll question. It was a good one. We'll give it to you here coming up. First, I wanted to remind you that the Michigan State Spartans are Big Ten champions outright, 3 games clear of Maryland and Michigan. Maryland, the number 2 seed, Michigan, the number 3 seed in the Big Ten tournament. The Spartans steamroll Michigan 79-62, scoring 50 first-half points. Trey Holloman with a career-high 20 points. Chase Richardson had 18. Vlad Golden, really the only one who showed up for Michigan from an offensive standpoint. He had a game-high 29. The Spartans 26 up, 4 down, 17-3 in conference play. The double bye, they'll play Friday. Michigan gets a double bye. They're going to play on Friday too, but they fall to 22-9, 14-6 in Big Ten play. Pistons knock off Portland behind Cade Cunningham's 29. Red Wings visit Ottawa tonight. This is the third meeting between the Wings and the Sens this year. Each of the first 2 games were decided by a goal. 2-1 Ottawa, 3-2 Detroit. Let's see what happens here tonight. Lions have released Darius Smith. At least that's the report. They're going to release him after just half a season. They gave up a 5th and a 6th for him. He had 4 sacks, 3 tackles for loss in 8 games. But at his age and with the amount of money they can save, $5.7 million, you would understand why. By the way, back to hockey real quick. Alexander Ovechkin did score an empty net goal in Washington's 4-2 win, meaning he's now within 9 of passing Wayne Gretzky for the all-time record. Browns signed Myles Garrett to the largest non-quarterback contract in history.
So much for wanting out, right?
He's going to make $40 million, and he gets $123 million guaranteed. So that's a record. Josh Allen sets a record in Buffalo. He gets $250 million guaranteed of a new deal that's going to pay him $330 million overall. Harold Landry signs a 3-year contract worth $43.5 million in New England, and the Rams have signed Devontae Adams to a 2-year deal. The 31-year-old is a 3-time All-Pro, 5 straight years of 1,000-yard season. So much for him. And Aaron Rodgers being a package deal. The belief is that the Giants are going to sign either Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, which I get the whole Daniel Jones thing, but man, it's an interesting time in football, isn't it? Justin Fields might stay in Pittsburgh. Who knows what's going to happen there? But we know also that Seattle is trading DK Metcalf to Pittsburgh, where he, for a second-round pick, And where in Pittsburgh, he is expected to sign a franchise record 5-year deal worth $150 million. You know, Trent brought this up, and we said this earlier in the show. Max Crosby says, you know, I'm tired of losing, but he re-ups and in a contract extension at the time on Thursday, the largest by a non-quarterback in the history of the league, in the same place he was complaining about. Myles Garrett says, I don't want to go through another rebuild. I want out, demands to be traded, signs the contract extension like we were talking about in Cleveland. It's
money.
It's fascinating to me how quickly things change when money is on the table. I've said this forever. I'll continue to say it. My experience is that with younger players, I would still consider a late 20-year-old player, 28, 29, I would consider them still young. Those players, they're going to get the money when they can. I'm not saying they shouldn't. They're going to get the money when they can. The winning aspect comes in their later years when they're looking around going, you know what? What's missing from my Hall of Fame resume? I got more money than I know what to do. I've got all kinds of records, franchise and NFL or whatever the league they may be playing in. I want the ring. I want to be considered one of the all-time great, and my fear is that I won't be in that conversation unless I get the ring. I'll take less to go get the ring. Certain players haven't done that, right? You didn't see Dan Marino do that at the end of his career. He didn't say, you know, I got no shot with Miami. I'll tell you what, send me someplace so I can win. He didn't do that. He stayed in Miami. I'm not saying he deserves a gold medal. I'm just saying he stayed in Miami. You get players today saying one thing just 2 weeks ago. Myles Garrett is bitching and moaning about this. I want out. Okay. Now the team, maybe it's because the owner, Jimmy Haslam, said, I'm not going to negotiate with him. I'm not trading him, which I think is short-sighted because you could have gotten a slew for him. However, he said, I'm not going to do it. So if Myles Garrett feels like, look, I'm stuck, I want the extension. Maybe that was the mindset. It's possible. We're just hearing players over and over and over again say they get tired of a certain situation, and then they stay in the situation. There's a part of me, if I were a Cleveland Browns fan, if I was a Las Vegas Raiders fan, hey, you know what? This guy's showing a commitment.
I was going to say, I do give him kudos for not holding out and making this any uglier than it had to be, really. I mean, we've seen guys hold out all the way into the season and miss games, like Hassan Reddick last season. Remember that?
Sure.
And that's just one example. It happens all the time.
He wanted a contract extension. The belief was that he told the Jets, I'll come sign. The Jets said, you know, we'll sign you to a contract extension perhaps, but first we've got to see you play.
Right.
You know, I don't know what's the right answer in that situation, but I do wonder, you know, you want to give him credit for not making it ugly. If you're going public, what difference does it make? How bad does it have to get before you consider it ugly? When a guy comes out and says, I don't want to go through a rebuild, I'm demanding a trade. I want to be traded. How is that not, and you're doing it in public, you're doing it in the media. How is that not more ugly than one should take it?
Well, remember his statement that he put out on social media? I thought that was at least buttoned up and well put together. Like there are degrees of ugliness in these situations. I didn't think his was very ugly. I didn't perceive it to be that way.
Can you give me an example of what was really ugly?
I'll have to think. We're about to hit a break here, but I'll think of something for you because that's a good question.
Yeah, I just anytime it reaches the media where your camp is leaking it to the media, we know that, and you're sitting here telling me that you want out. What are fans supposed to perceive? Quick timeout. When we come back, we'll get to. For sure, we'll get to our hero and heels. We've got the results from Friday's poll question. We've got the daily wager and a lot more to get to here as we continue to roll on a Monday morning brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Attention Michigan fans, it isn't a Michigan game day without a Michigan-made beer. Founders Brewing Company, a proud supporter of the University of Michigan Athletics Department, has the perfect beer for you with their Michigan Pilsner. Crafted with only the best locally sourced Michigan hops and the highest quality ingredients to deliver a smooth, crisp taste. Upgrade your game day traditions with their easy drinking Michigan Pilsner. Founders Brewing Company, proud sponsor of Michigan Athletics. Welcome to Craft.
There's a new player in town. Hi, I'm Herman Moore, Lions All-Pro wide receiver, and I'm talking about Eagle Casino and Sports, the real money mobile casino. It's so easy to play. You can go from wager to winner to wallet, just like that.
Sign up now and we'll match your deposit up to $1,500. Or you can get a risk-free bet up to $1,000.
Eagle Casino and Sports. Made in Michigan, made for Michigan.
Must be 21 or older in Michigan to play.
Rock legend Peter Frampton comes alive. Peter Frampton, the Let's Do It Again tour returns Saturday, April 19th to Soaring Eagle Casino. Tickets start at $73 and are on sale now at the box office or etix.com.
Ooh, baby, I love you.
Peter Frampton, April 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the huge show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
Back with you on X's and Bros. Every Monday at 8:18, we give you our hero and our heel from the weekend. The best player, the best organization, the best coach, whatever. Doesn't even have to be sports related if you don't want it to be. They're the hero, and the worst of the weekend is the heel. We had a nominee earlier today, which is great. We'd love to hear him from you via the text line, Sports Radio to 21,000. You can call us on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. Here's my hero. It's Nikola Jokic. It was kind of tough for me between a couple, but Jokic was an assist shy of a triple-double in their loss to OKC on Sunday. But Friday night, he did something that most likely will never be duplicated. In Denver's 149-141 overtime win over Phoenix, he boasted his 29th triple-double of the year and his 149th of his career. He had 31 points. He had 21 rebounds. He had 22 assists. He became the first player to ever have a 30-20-20 game. First ever. Impressive stat line. But the most eye-popping statistic, I think, or nugget about the game was that he had a triple-double in the first half, and he had a triple-double in the second half. He had 2 triple-doubles within one game. He's the first player with at least 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, 500 assists in the season. He's the first player to earn the most total points, total rebounds, and total assists in a single season or postseason. He's the first player with at least 10 triple-doubles in 7 straight seasons. He's now going on 8, by the way. He's the first player to post a 30-20-10 stat line in an NBA Finals game. He's the first player to post a 20-15-15 stat line in less than 30 minutes. If he wins the MVP, and he should, I know how you feel. I know as a Pistons fan, you are caught up in the Cade Cunningham moment, and he's been great this year. And I don't use that word very often, but he has been great. But he hasn't been Nikola Jokic. If Jokic wins the MVP, and I think he should, it would be his 4th. There are only 5 players in the history of the NBA to have won 4 or more. Jordan, Russell, Jabbar, LeBron.
LeBron, yeah.
Kareem. Kareem is the only. So Russell, Kareem, Wilt, 3 big men, Jordan, and LeBron. Those are the 5. Jokic is going to be in that conversation. I know people look like, don't take the airplane movie that Kareem starred in as co-pilot. But people look at Kareem and they're like, he was just a big guy and he didn't run well. That dude was incredibly athletic. He had the greatest shot perhaps the history has ever seen. I know you love the Steph Curry threes and so on and so forth, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's skyhook is the best that really the league has ever seen. He was a dominating force in college. He was a dominating force in the pros, winning in Milwaukee, winning in LA. Wilt Chamberlain was a dominant man as well. The numbers that he put up were just stupid. I gave him Friday night, and Rookie of the Year, MVP that year, averaging 27 and 26. It's stupid stuff. Russell's one of the greatest defensive players of all time. Michael Jordan's the greatest player of all time. LeBron James has got 50,000 points. It's amazing. Nikola Jokic may not have that quote-unquote athleticism that many people – he just does everything really well. I don't think he gets enough credit. It's amazing. Simply amazing.
It's funny that he can put up those kind of numbers, have that kind of trophy case, and yet I agree with you. He's still overlooked somehow.
Yeah, somehow he is. Anyway, I was thinking about Walker Kessler. You know who he is?
Yeah.
Of the Jazz? Yeah. Did you see what he did Friday night against Toronto?
No, I missed that.
Yeah. 18 points, 25 boards, 8 blocks. 25 boards. Only 5 players in league history have put up at least those numbers. Do you know who they are? Kareem, Shaq, Hakeem Olajuwon, Dikembe Mutombo, and Elvin Hayes.
Wow.
And by the way, he did all that. He had 25 rebounds in 33 minutes. The rest of those guys, when they put up those numbers, they needed 40 minutes or more. He did it in the fewest amount of minutes of any player who put together that stat line.
8 blocks too, you said?
8 blocks.
Wow.
Yep. Nobody's going to remember who the hell Walker Kessler is. But 25 rebounds in 33 minutes, I don't care who you're playing. I know it's Toronto. I know they're not very good. Guess what? Utah stinks too. But he was out there balling. But I decided to go with Nikola Jokic. Who's your hero of the weekend?
I'm going to go Shimon Zapala. So much of the senior day focus yesterday for Michigan State was on Jaden Akins, rightfully so, as a 4-year player. But I love to spread the wealth a little bit. I love the Zapala story. He came from Poland. If you remember, fans were clamoring for Tom Izzo to hit the portal, get with the times. Different sport, but it's one of the reasons I've been critical of Dabo Swinney. Adapt or die, right, Shep? But who would have thought that of the 2 transfers Izzo got, Zapala and Frankie Fiddler, that Zapala would probably end up being the more impactful guy? I mean, he's starting for this team. You talk about the defend, rebound, run philosophy. He fits that to a T. He's a very selfless player. He only had 2 points yesterday against Michigan, so this is more of a big picture thing. 15 points against Ohio State was a season high. He had 6 blocks against Oakland. And probably the best Tom Izzo team since Cassius Winston and Xavier Tillman left. And Shimon Zapala was a big part of it. So I just wanted to give him a little bit of credit because you're not going to hear his name mentioned.
Yeah, you probably
really
won't.
From anybody.
Just a 1-year guy there, but it's pretty cool. It is a great story. It's cool. You think he's been as impactful as Fiddler, though?
Yeah, because I think Fiddler's been disappointing. Very disappointing. Underwhelming.
That's fine. I'm talking about impactful. I know he hasn't been, but I don't know about that.
He's a starting center. I mean, whereas Fiddler started the year in the lineup.
I don't think,
really.
You know what? I got to be honest with you. With Michigan State this year, I look at there's a lot of starters on this team.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Look at the amount of minutes they play. You can start all you want. If you're not in at the end of games, I just think with this team is so unique, right? With 10 players, you could almost consider 7 or 8 guys as starters. Here's my heel. It's the wings. At the trade deadline, Detroit traded, Valengo to Chicago for Mrazek and Smith. I talked about Mrazek, ranks 42nd in the league in save percentage. Veteran Craig Smith, he's going to be a blue liner, or serve as a 4th liner forward at the age of 35. What this team really needed, what I was hoping it would get, is at least an impact player up front or on the blue line. They got neither. Super disheartening for me. We can talk about it on the other side, but overall, I think it was a big disappointment on what the Red Wings did or what they didn't do, more importantly than anything else. And I get that it's hard this time of the year. I get that there are still some things that are awaiting the Red Wings, and they didn't do a whole lot, but they believe in their guys. That's great. But when you've lost 5 in a row the way they have, it's been disheartening, and I thought Steve Yzerman should have done more, so they're my heel. Who's your heel?
Michigan Wolverines. I'm not going to talk about the senior day stuff. This team objectively is trending down, and it's a team that had a chance, as good a chance as anybody, to win the conference coming down the stretch, and they are not playing well at all going into the tournament, and you hate to see that if you're a Wolverine fan. I'm not sure how confident, Shep, you are that this team is going to make as much of a run as you thought maybe a couple weeks ago. So,
I don't think. Look, a couple of weeks ago, everybody would have said that they were poised to make a run. You can't feel comfortable with it right now because of the way they're shooting the ball, and the turnover is still a big problem. Each team turned it over 15 times. I do believe when you improve 11 games in conference wins, and you believe in you improve 14 games overall, but expectations change. And the expectation was that this team was going to be better. A 3 seed isn't terrible. They'll probably be a 5, depending on how far they go in the Big Ten tournament. Probably be a 5 in the NCAA tournament. They can cause some problems early on, but they're not going to go deep if they continue to shoot the ball and give it away the way they did all season long.
Also,
on the other side, we'll get to the final results of our poll question. We'll get to our daily wager. What did Trent have for you on Friday? What does he got tonight? And a whole lot more as we wrap things up on a Monday morning, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
You've heard him on Kill Tony, the #1 live podcast in the world.
He's always working on her craft. Macaroni and cheese.
Friday, March 14th, Tony Hinchcliffe at Soaring Eagle.
Your blood plate is delicious.
Tickets start at $72 and are on sale now at the box office or etix.com. Check out the hottest comedy of 2025, Tony Hinchcliffe. March 14th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Relax, I only have so much time. I'm killing too hard.
More at SoaringEagleCasino.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
By the way, did you see who the new head coach at Bowling Green football is? Eddie George. What do you think of that? Eddie George is the new head coach of Bowling Green.
Wasn't he at Tennessee State?
He's at a small school. I forget exactly where. I'll have to look that up. But I found that pretty interesting. Like, people are like, "Oh my God, this is unbelievable! This is fantastic! We got Eddie George." We've seen big names, right? We've seen big names make that have. I wouldn't say an impact, but come and go. I mean, Charlie Weiss was a big name when he went to Notre Dame, wasn't he? You bet he was.
Yes.
Jim Mora Jr. was a big name when he went to UCLA, wasn't he? This guy coached the Atlanta Falcons. Okay. Even to a certain extent, Scott Loeffler, who was on the Michigan staff, was a decent name that went to Bowling Green. Doesn't always work out that way.
Anything for fans to snag onto and get excited about, you know? I mean, that's what it is.
Was Juwan Howard a big name?
Yeah, well, yeah. That's a great example right there.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't always mean, it doesn't equate to wins.
Right.
It creates a media stir. It creates people talking. Perhaps it might be a reason why a kid goes to a school, but they've got to perform.
Yeah.
They got to know what they're doing.
And there are examples. There are plenty of good examples, too. I mean, Deion Sanders, Jim Harbaugh, right? Going back to their, well, I guess it wasn't Deion's alma mater, but going, making the jump from an HBCU to Colorado and having success.
Yeah. I would probably, the big names, great example by you. The results haven't worked for Deion Sanders. I mean, Jim Harbaugh won a national championship.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Colorado
he went to the Final Four, if you will. He won Big Ten title. Deion Sanders hasn't won squat.
Yeah, it hasn't worked in the same way at all. You're exactly right about that.
Yeah. I mean, that is those guys. And then on the other hand, there's plenty of names who you look at and you're like, well, who the hell is this guy? And then he goes, and what does he do? He turns things around. Mark D'Antonio is a pretty good example of that. Do you know how many people were pissed off when John Beilein got the head coaching job in Michigan? Livid.
Really? I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. West Virginia, come on. I had an on-the-air debate with another co-host at the time I was doing a regular radio show in Detroit. And they said, do you think Tom Izzo recruits guys like Zach Novak and Stu Douglas? And I said, no, but he would love to have them now. He would love to have certain guys like that. In fact, I argued that Zach Novak is the exact type of player Tom Izzo loves. Tough, gritty, willing to do a lot of different things. May not be the greatest player. He's not going to win Big Ten Player of the Year, but he's a tough SOB, man. And those are the kind of guys that Izzo gravitates toward. But there were a lot of people who just didn't feel like he was worthy or could do the job. I'm like, wow, it's a little surprising. Did you have any idea who Dabo Swinney was before he went to Clemson? No, be honest. No, you had no idea. Okay, you don't have to. It's not about the name. It's about whether or not the dude can do the job. Now, Eddie George deserves the opportunity to earn that. Give him that grace period to see if he can do the job. But the big name stuff it's just for headlines. It's just for print. You're gonna forget it after a while. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and let's not.
I would have loved to have had a guy like Chris Peterson was a hell of a coach at Boise State and then Washington. Before he went to Boise State, nobody knew who the hell Chris Peterson was, man. Just because he's not PJ Fleck jumping into the arms of his players with ESPN's cameras rolling doesn't mean that he's the kind of guy you got to have, and he's a big name from a smaller school. When that stuff is staged, hey, let's get Sylvester Stallone on the big screen to tell you you've got yourself a scholarship. Can we make sure that the 4-letter network is here so they can roll this? Thank you very much. And 3, 2, 1, it's a movie production.
Well, Shep, you got to roll a boat. Come on.
Well, how do you not? And now it's stuck at Western. ROW, baby. Let's get to the final results of our poll question. Speaking of coaching, we asked you on Friday, and Dennis Fithian filling in here on X's and Bros. We appreciate that as always. Dennis, a really good guy. Who gets Coach of the Year in the Big Ten? Is it Izzo, Guard, Wisconsin, May, or other? How did people vote?
Did seem to be kind of a three-man race. Tom Izzo won 57%. Dusty May second with 39%. Greg Gard only got 3%, and we put other just because you get 4 options. I don't really know who else would win. 1% of people voted for other. So Izzo won by a decent margin. Dusty May, though, no slouch with 39%.
So it's a good question. And I mean that. Who else? Michigan's going to drop out of the top 25, you would guess. Yes. It should. Losing to Maryland, losing the way they have recently, and then getting blown out by MSU, even though that's a really hard place to win. I was talking with the team, and I said, what are the toughest places to win in the Big Ten? He agreed with me. You can't say MSU because he started MSU, but he said Purdue's the hardest, the loudest place. If people, I'm trying to think of who else you would suggest would be in that conversation. Immediately, my mind, fair or unfair, went to Rutgers. They're under 500 in the Big Ten. They're not going to make the NCAA tournament unless something strange happens. I mean, they're a game under 500. They have 2 of the best players in America. Like, if you look at possible rankings of which players are going to be drafted, did you know that Rutgers has 2 players that many people feel are top 10? Some feel top 5 talent.
Yeah, I've seen Ace Bailey go as high as 2.
Yeah, and Dylan Harper's their leading scorer. Yep. So that's where my mind went. My mind went to Rutgers just because of that. And then when you look at it a little closer, you're like, wait, hold on a second, man.
Yeah, how much of an advantage can it be?
Well, yeah, I think Steve Peichel, I think he's done a really nice job there of turning things around.
Overall, yes.
Overall, because it's a pit of a place to play, and I don't mean the campus. I'm not taking any shots at the school, and I'm just talking about their arena. I would guess the only other people would guess Kevin Willard, Maryland, not just because they finished second in the Big Ten, but they've been on a major roll as of late, and a lot of people counted them out earlier this year.
I would give Cole Center a little. I give him an honorable mention, if you will. And you're shaking your head.
As a tough place to play?
Yes.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
I think it gets pretty loud in there.
Well, it's a big place, so it's bound to get loud. It doesn't get super loud. How shall I put this?
Relative to its size, you don't think it gets
their demographic is a little bit older.
Yes. Good way. Good way to phrase it, Shep.
Yeah, it's Mackey, it's Breslin, it's Bloomington, Indiana, and then there's everybody else.
Yeah, those are the 3, no doubt.
Okay.
You're right about that.
It's as a guy who's been to every city. Now, I haven't been to USC and I haven't been to Oregon. UCLA is not it. Okay.
You been to Washington?
I have not been to Washington. And those are new to the Big Ten. So I have not been to any of those. I'm telling you, one of the louder places I've been to was Iowa State when Michigan played there. Iowa State was really raucous, but the 3 that I mentioned, I mean, that's where it is in the Big Ten. And anybody who says really anything different, I mean, probably hasn't been to a lot of them.
I agree with you on that.
Chrysler's going to get as loud as Kohl Center. Okay. And a lot of it depends on who they're playing. I get that. And a lot of it depends on the situation. Okay. I mean, I called 1 versus 2, Michigan against Indiana in Bloomington. It was incredibly loud, probably as loud a game as I've ever been to. But when you're at Purdue, I think it's pretty regular there. That's the reason I say that. And the same thing with Breslin. Breslin they should be really proud of that. All right, let's get to the Daily Wager. It's brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. What was Friday's bet, and what do you have for us tonight?
Last week was brutal. Started 0-4, so I had to find a way to get some kind of win over the weekend. I simply took Michigan State money line, and we know that cashed. So We'll try to start this week 1-0. I'm going to take the Red Wings plus 1.5 tonight. I think they're going to get back to playing some better hockey, and they don't even have to win this bet. Have to lose by 1 or win the game. So give me the Wings plus 1.5.
The two meetings with Ottawa have been a 2-1 final in favor of Ottawa, a 3-2 final in favor of Detroit. Just out of curiosity, you made the statement, losing 5 in a row immediately made me wonder. What makes you think they're going to get back to playing better hockey?
Just water finding its level. I don't think they're the bad team that they have been over the last 5-game stretch, right? Because largely under McClellan, they have played a tougher brand of hockey, more sandpaper, as they call it. I just think they're going to get back off the schneid here. Blood in the water.
Close, you realize they're getting pretty close to 500 under McClellan.
Yeah, that's true.
Now that they lost 5 in a row. I don't know the answer to this. I just wonder aloud. Are they the team that's won 7 in a row or the team that's lost 5 straight?
And I don't know the answer, but I just, if in this situation.
That's the hard thing about it.
In this situation,
I don't know. They have not given me any reason to think, and I hope you're right too, but they haven't given me any reason to think that they're changing anytime soon. What in their play has made you go, they're this close? Like you see that in certain teams. You see that maybe in football teams and maybe some basketball teams a little bit more. Hockey is such a tough one. It's so hard to decipher. I haven't seen much over the last few games that has made me think, all right, they're getting close. They're turning the corner. And their coach here hasn't said that either. He hasn't said we're close. In fact, he said in some of their wins, he's like, I didn't like this. I didn't like that. And you're more apt to be a little bit more critical, even after victories, to make sure your team doesn't get too full of themselves. So that's a possibility. All right, we'll look for that tomorrow. We'll see what happens with that. Detroit in Ottawa tonight. Real quick, with NFL free agency beginning officially, the opportunity for NFL free agents to officially begin today at noon. And in 2 more days, the new league will officially start on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. That's when the new league officially begins, and that's when you sign the free agents. It's not your guy signing an extension. It's when you sign the free agents. With the Lions agreeing to terms with Derek Barnes on a 3-year extension, bringing back Marcus Davenport on a 1-year deal, finding a way. My guess is some of this is because they have to find a way to sign Aiden Hutchinson, sign Kirby Joseph. I worry a little bit about the Carlton Davis. You saw that news, right? The Carlton Davis said last time he took a little bit lesser deal to stay in Tampa and hopefully win a championship. He said, I'm not doing that this year. He's not leaving money on the table.
The reports are also that the Lions aren't expected to make a very strong push.
It's tough. It's going to be tough to do that, right? Even though they're $57 million under the cap, they've kind of laid the ground. I hate the Davenport news. I'm not super thrilled with Derek Barnes, but in fairness to Derek Barnes, last year was the first year in his short tenure in the NFL that he hasn't played at least 15 games.
And you do wonder if the defense really missed him more than he maybe got credit for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess. I do wonder that. Yeah,
he got hurt early.
I don't know how much of an impact he can truly have.
I don't either.
I wouldn't. And he's not getting paid like that guy.
No,
so that's
why I think that's a fair
that
question.
That doesn't bother me at all. The Davenport bothers me slightly. Okay, because that's a history thing.
There's no track record.
And he may not make the team out of training camp. He may not make it. It does tell me this, though. It does tell me that this team is going to expect a couple of things. First of all, Enos Rakestraw better be good. Okay? He's got to contribute this coming year. I feel like the Lions are almost mirroring the Tigers to a certain extent. We're going to rely on our young guys being better. Okay? And it also tells me in the draft, not that they wouldn't have already, but it becomes a higher priority. Knowing you're not going to get certain guys. They're not trading for Trey Hendrickson, unfortunately. Obviously, they're not trading for Myles Garrett. You and I both were hoping, is there a way they can get creative and bring in a guy who is going to be lights out and be an absolute monster to try and deal with opposite Aiden Hutchinson and with a healthy Lee McNeil in the middle. That's not going to happen. I'm convinced now that is not going to happen. The money that they're saving, whether it be Carlton Davis or not swinging a trade or not signing a big free agent, whether it be Hassan Reddick, who probably wants somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 years, $60 million, whatever. You know what it is? It's to sign their own. And that's cool. But they better get that right with Barnes, Davenport, and question mark from this upcoming draft. Let's get to another text. Who's up next with the text and what do they want?
One says, Jawan Howard ran our program into the ground. Thank the Lord Dusty has us on the way back. If we keep him, super excited to see his first full year of recruiting.
Yeah, that's cool. I get it. Here's what I wonder. Can you run programs into the ground with a transfer portal anymore?
I don't really think so. I think this texter's point, I could be wrong, but I think this texter's point is more so Beeline was terrific, and Jawan's best years were with Beeline's guys, and as soon, the longer Jawan held on, the worse the program got.
For sure. And I think the texter's correct. Don't get me wrong. I've never been a big believer, well, you won with his guys, because Jawan Howard had 2 transfers, reportedly, 2 transfers coming in with who were big names that were going to contribute mightily. But winning with other people's quote unquote other people's guys, sometimes that can be really hard to do,
Yeah, and you still got to coach.
Okay, so you still have to coach. You still have to get them to buy in. You still have to figure out their strengths and their weaknesses. So I don't necessarily believe in that cliche, but to his point or her point, Jawan Howard was not a good era of Michigan basketball. Dusty May, sure, his recruiting, I know you're looking forward to it as well. Pippen hasn't worked out necessarily. Some of the transfers have. You were probably more excited about Rodney Gale than you were Danny Wolf, and Danny Wolf's been far and away the better player. But it'll be a constant, not just the recruiting. You've got to look at NIL. You've got to look at transfers as much as recruiting these days in college sports. One more quick one before we get out of here.
Dan Marino actually passed on going to Minnesota in '97, that great team. DK Metcalf wanted out and went to Pittsburgh with no quarterback. All about the money.
Yep. And thank you for the reminder. Yeah, that was the report that Dan Marino turned that down. But the point is, he stayed in Miami. He didn't stay. So thanks for your text. We appreciate it. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. here on X's and BrO's throughout the great state of Michigan. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody.
It's time to go on the court.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code HUGE for a special offer when you sign up. That's code HUGE only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Trent Batley here, an up and down weekend for the Pistons, but they finished their 4-game road trip out west 2-2. Saturday night saw a loss to Golden State with Stephen Curry turning the clocks back with a game-high 32 points. They're getting Jimmy Butler acclimated quite nicely as well, as Butler put up 26. Last night's matchup with the Trailblazers was a get-right launch pad for the Pistons, and they took advantage of playing one of the league's bottom feeders. 6 Pistons scored in double figures in that one. They remain comfortably ahead of Atlanta for the 6th seed in the